Hello guys, welcome to another video in the series of coding. Today we are going to do the problem which is called 2 sum 4. Input is a binary search tree. Let's try to understand this problem. You are given the root of a binary search tree and a target number k. You have to return true if there exist two elements such that their sum is equal to a given target. Okay, so suppose this is your binary search tree. In this, let's say you want to find out for k equal to 9. There are a lot of elements. For example, 2 plus 7 is 9. Here 4 plus 5 is 9. 3 plus 6 is 9. There are a lot of elements which are giving you a sum of 9. So you have to return true in this case. If you are given suppose this binary search tree and the k is equal to 28, no two elements will sum up to 28, so in that case you have to return false. Let's see how we can do this problem. So we have a binary search tree and we have to find if two elements sum up to a given value k. Okay, so let's try to see two approaches for it. The first approach that comes to our mind is, what if it was an array, right? What if it was an array? Then the problem would have been very simpler, right? So what if it was an array? Instead of this binary search tree, if let's say it was a array like this, okay? So this same binary search tree, I have written the elements of it in the form of an array. And I have to find out my k that is summing up to any value, okay? Let's say the value is 8. Okay, I have to find out if there exists a value such that my sum is 8. How will I solve this problem? So if it was an array, then I can solve the problem in such a way that I can use two pointer approach to give me a O of n time complexity, right? So how will the two pointer approach help? Let us see. So there's a left pointer, there's a right pointer. Now it is sorted, right? You can see that the numbers are arranged in ascending order. So the left is always lesser than the right. So in this particular case, if you increment an element from the left side, you will increase your sum. If you decrease your right pointer, you will decrement your sum because it is in sorted order. Okay, let's try to do a dry run to understand this. Suppose you have to find k equal to 8, right? So you will start from the left. What is at the left? Currently you have the value 2. At the right, currently you have the value 7. 2 plus 7 is equal to 9. Now what do you have? You have 9. But what do you want to make? You want to make 8, right? You want to make 8 and you have 9. 9 is greater than 8. So you have to decrement your current sum. You have a sum which is greater than the sum that you want to make. How can you decrement the sum? There are only two options that you have, right? What are the two options? Either you increase your left pointer or you decrease your right pointer. Now among these two options, which will you choose? Let's see those options. If we increase our left pointer, since it is in ascending order, your sum is going to increase, right? Because see, if you take 3 plus 7, it will be 10. And what was previously? Previously it was 2 plus 7, which was 9. 10 is going to be greater than 9. It is obvious because this array is in ascending order. This is in ascending order. So if you increase your left pointer, your sum is always going to increase. So in this particular case, our sum is already 9. We don't want to increase it. Rather, we want to decrease it to reach 8, right? So we will not take this option. Rather, which option will we take? We will take the option of moving our right pointer. So we will move our right pointer by 1. This will decrement our sum, right? This will cause our sum to decrement. Let's try to see that. So I have moved the right pointer. Now my right pointer is pointing to this element. Now what is my sum? 2 plus 8, right? 2 plus 8. 2 plus 6. Let me write it properly. Let me erase it here and let me write it properly. So we have 2 plus 6. 2 plus 6 is equal to 8. Right? And what did you want to make? You wanted to make 8. So this was a simple approach. So this is the approach which we can apply. Now how do you convert this binary search tree to this particular sorted array? You can convert it by doing something which is called in-order traversal. Right? What is your in-order traversal? See, binary search tree is always sorted if you go along the in-order traversal way. Because in a binary search tree, you always have a root value, and then you have a left value, and then you have a right value. Left is always lesser than root, right is always greater than root. All the values are unique. These are the properties of a binary search tree. So this can be used to our advantage to sort this. So we will simply do an in-order traversal to convert this binary search tree to an array. This is the first approach that we are going to take. Okay, this is the first approach. So let's see the in-order traversal. Let's see if we are able to obtain the same array or not. Okay, let's do the in-order traversal above and let us try to see if we can obtain the same array. So what we will do, we will start from a particular node and we will visit the left first. Okay, so what we are doing the in-order traversal. We will visit the left node, then we will visit the current root, and then we will visit the right node in this order. This is called in-order traversal. This will give you a sorted array in the increasing order, which we want to obtain to apply the two-sum logic. Okay, so we will start from the first element. So before writing the value for the first element, we will traverse to its left. Okay, again we are visiting this route. We will, instead of writing the current value, what we will do, we will traverse to the left. Okay, now at the left we have reached the end because these two children are null, so we will store the value here. Okay, now we have stored the value. Now we will backtrack. When we are backtracking, we see the root value, so we will write the root value. Okay, we will go back and we will write the root value. So root value is 3. Now we will go to the right. So we are going in this order: left, then root, then right. Now right value. So we will write the right value. Okay. Now we will backtrack. We will backtrack from here. We will backtrack from here. Again, when we backtrack, okay, this call will return here, and we will write the root value. Now after writing the root value, what we will do? Again, we will go to the right side. After left we go to the root. After root we go to the right value. So you go to the right value. So in this particular case, we will first check for the left value. Left value is null, right? So it will return back, and when returning back, we will write this root. Okay. Then we will go to the right value. So what is the right value? Right value is equal to 7. This doesn't have left or right. Both its children are null. So you can store 7. So we have got the same array, right? Which we did by doing a in order traversal. So this is a simple approach. We can use this approach. Okay, this is the approach that we can use. Let's see another approach, but first let's code this approach, and then we will see one more approach to solve this problem. Okay, so we have to do a in order traversal. So let me write in order, and let us do in order traversal. Let us declare a function void, let's say, and we are going to do the in order traversal, and let us pass our root. So in order traversal is simple. If your root is not existent, okay, if it is null, simply return. You don't have to take the values of those. Otherwise, what you have to do, you have to first call the left child, because we are doing it in that order, right? Left, then the current root, then the right. So we call the left child, then okay, we will push the value of the current root. Okay, so we will have to declare a vector, let's say v, which is going to help us, and we are going to push the value, okay, of the current root. Now we will do the traversal again for the right node. Okay, so this is our logic. So let's say we are starting from a root node, so it will keep on calling its left child, okay, unless its left child exhausts of its children. So when that will return, when the root becomes null, it will return. We will first print the left value. Okay, then we will print the current root's value. I should have done this. Okay, and then we will call the same function on the right child and do the same thing. So this will give us the in order traversal. Now we can apply the to-sum logic on a simple vector as usual, using the two-pointer technique. Int left is equal to 0. Okay. Int right is equal to n minus 1, right? So it will be the size of the vector minus 1. Now while left is less than right, we can keep on doing this. We can try to find elements. So what was the advantage of doing in order traversal? We are able to obtain a sorted vector, and if there's a sorted vector, you can simply apply the two-pointer approach. So that was an advantage. Okay. So in this particular case, we have to just give three conditions. If v of left plus v of right is equal to k, you can return true. You have found your elements, right? Else, if I'll give the same condition, if these two are less than k, in that case you can just increment your left pointer to increase the sum. Else you can, if they are greater than k, you have to decrement it. So you have to remove your right pointer. Okay, so I will write left here and right here. Okay, and if you are not finding the element, you can return false. So this is one approach where you will be able to obtain a sorted vector, and you can apply the two-sum. Okay, so int right is equal to v dot size minus 1. There is a spelling mistake. Let me try to correct it, and let's see if it's working. Okay, it's fine. Let's try to submit and see if it is working. Okay, this is fine. Now let's just quickly see one more approach. So instead of doing the in order traversal, if you don't want to do it, you can simply apply a simple DFS algorithm and keep storing the values in a set, right? So if you don't have a sorted array, right, in that case, what do? If you don't have a sorted array, let's see it for a simple array, and then it will be easy to see it for a binary search tree. let's say you have some array, right? 3, 6, 7, 9, 4. Suppose you want to apply the algorithm. If you sort it, it will be O of n log n time, right? Let's say it is not sorted. Then in that case, what will you do? If it is not sorted, to still do it in O of n time complexity, what do you do? You store it, right, in a set or a hash map type structure, and you try to do it in O of n time complexity, and you compensate somewhat by using a hash map or a set structure which will take O of n space. So let's quickly see an example of that. Okay, so what we will do, we will let's say this is our set. Okay, let's say it's simply a set. We will see the first value. Let's say we want to see if there is sum of any two elements, right, which is giving you let's say 10. Okay, so what do? You store the first element 3. Okay, next you go over the next element. You try to see if now if some number is going to add to 6 to give you 10, right? You want to make 10. If through 6 you have to find 4. If 4 is there already in your set, then it is okay. But right now 4 is not there in the set, right? 4 is not there in the set. So what you will do, you will simply store this particular number 6 here, and you will move ahead to the next iteration. Now you will see 7. Now if you have to make 10 using 7, you have to have 3. So 3 is already there in your set. That means you have a 3 already because you have stored it in the set, and you found a 7 now. So 7 plus 3 will be 10, right? So you have found a number and you can return true. So in the set, if you already see a value that is equal to k minus your current value, right, which is currently 3 in this example. If it is already there in the set, that means you can return true. So we will use the same approach. We will keep on storing values as we traverse. So we will just use the same approach. We will start with 5, right? We need not do any in order traversal or anything. We can simply do the simple DFS or BFS, anything which you like, and you can store the values in the set. So first we are visiting 5. We will store 5 in the set. Okay, let's say we want to find out k equal to let's say 8 itself. Okay, next we see 3. So when we check 3, we try to find if 5 is already there in the set, because we want to make 8. And how can we make 8? Using 3. 3 plus 5 is giving you 8, right? So you will check in the set if 5 is already there. 5 is already there in this case. That means 5 plus 3 is 8. You found the element. So you can return true in this particular case. So that is a simple logic. Let us try to write that. So let me do one thing. Let me reset it. And let us try to write code for this. So we are going to apply DFS in this particular case. Let me simply write DFS and let's say root and k. In this particular example, we can store set and can give int s. Okay, and let us apply the DFS algorithm. You can apply BFS also. Anything will give you the answer. You are just storing the values. So let us start with this, and in this particular case, if root is null, right, that can never give you the answer. So in that particular case, you can return false. So let me declare it as a boolean function. Now you will try to find if already you have found a match for that current value, right? How will you try to find if you have found a match? So k minus roots val should be existent in the set. Okay. So suppose you want to make 8. If you want to make 8 and the current value is, let's say, 3, okay, then you will try to find if 5 is already existent in the set or not. If 5 is existent in the set, means you have already seen a 5 and you have currently got 3. So 5 plus 3 will give you 8. So this is the approach. So you will try to search this value in the set s dot find if this value is not equal to s dot end. Okay. Why is this condition? See, if it is equal to s dot end, means you searched all the values and you couldn't find that value. If it is not equal to s dot end, means you searched the set and you found the value somewhere. So if you found the value somewhere, then in that case you can simply return true. Return true. Now what is the next thing that you have to do? If you didn't find this value, right, then you can push that current value so that next time you see some element, maybe this value will be useful. So you can insert this current value in the set. Now you can finally return whatever these guys are returning. So you can call roots left child and you can call roots right child, and even if one of them is true, that's why I've given or, even if one of them is true, you can return true. Okay, so let's just give return. And by the way, we can do this. Let's first see if this is fine. Okay, this is fine. Let's submit the code and see if it's working. So it's accepted. By the way, unnecessarily I have declared a function here because finally I'm just taking those two parameters. So I can also just shift everything here and I need not simply declare another function. So this will be a shorter and a sweeter code. Let us try to submit that and see if it is going to work. Okay, there is some compile error. Okay, because we should not use DFS. In that case, we should use find target. Okay, so let me do that, find target, and let me also call the find target function again. Okay, let's try to see if it's working now. So it's accepted. Thank you for being patient and listening.